Flying.
Good morning,
Oh,
everybody. Lunch and Learn. I am Marta Jimenez Lutter, and I am the manager for candidate and student engagement at the Society of Actuaries. And today we have Marc-Edouard Kernesant,
yes.
or Kernesant. If I'm butchering your last name, I am so sorry.
No, you said it perfectly.
Marc-Edouard has said that we can call him Teddy for today. So,
Please do.
Teddy,
Please
welcome,
do.
and thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Lunch and Learn. Today
I'm
we're
so
going to talk.
excited to be here.
Yeah, we are very excited to have you. We had a lot of interest in this webinar. So, as we were talking before we got on camera, it's very important that any student or candidate can hear different stories of
Right.
actuaries who are successful and who are very successful like yourself, but they didn't have an easy journey and they had to some struggles and they overcame them just like
Yeah.
you did. And look at you now. You are 17 years into your professional career and
Yeah.
very successful. You are a team leader at I'm gonna butcher this too. The Jardin.
Desjardins. Yes, you said it well. It's not an easy name for Anglophones to pronounce. So,
Yes.
Desjardins.
So and you have had roles in underwriting, in pricing, actuarial analysis. So a lot of different things. And you also mentioned to us that you are very passionate about coaching and
Yeah,
mentoring talent. So I
absolutely.
very excited to share your experiences and your background with our audience today. So before we get going with my questions, I want to talk. I want to tell everybody who's participating today. There in the bottom of your screen, there is a little square with a question mark, and then underneath it says Q&A. You can enter your questions right there, and I will not me. Teddy will answer the questions as in the order in which they are received. If there are questions that are repeated and he has already answered, don't feel offended, but we will skip those. Or if we're running out of time and we just have like a quick question that we can ask, you might not be able to, he might not be able to get to your question, but send them to me at my email. I will put it in the chat and I will make sure that I get you some sort of response. So,
Yeah, and I'd be happy to answer any questions by email afterwards, Marta, if you want.
oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. So, that said, um, Teddy, let's start with how you found the actuarial profession.
Sure, sure. So the first time that I heard about the actuarial profession was in high school. I had a guidance counselor that I went to see him. I wanted to find out what I wanted to study after high school, and some of them they have like those personality tests that they make you do. Like you read a statement and then you click, oh, this applies, this doesn't apply, or whatever. And after a couple of tests, there's two professions that came out: actuary and teacher. And it's funny because, well, I didn't know much about the actuarial career at that point. I had okay results in math, but I was definitely not like a great student or anything like that. But like if I like applied myself, I could get like okay results in math. And teaching was not a career that I had envisioned myself doing. But like when I was a student, like one way that I found to make money was like being a tutor for like younger people and whatever. So it kind of like married two things that I was interested in, and yeah, decided to go with the actuarial career and haven't regretted it.
Very good. We're glad you haven't regretted it.
So far, it's been good. It's been good to me.
Good. So you never considered teaching at all?
I have, and you know what? Now that my exams are done, a lot of actuaries have that. They're like, okay, they get a now what kind of moment when they finish their exams. And I know that there's quite a few, well, quite a few. There are some actuaries that once they finish their exams, like on their free time, they'll go back to university to maybe teach a class or something like that.
Oh,
And that is something that I'm like considering to like, okay, what do I have time for that? Uh, I have young kids. I have two daughters that are 7 and 5, so family life is taking a lot of my time right now. But it might be something that I might consider if I get a little bit more free time eventually. Look out for me if you'll see another
plenty of
post.
time for that.
Yeah, exactly,
Your kids are only young ones. So
exactly.
you have said that you could write a book about the resilience that you have learned from your actuarial journey.
Yeah.
So tell to us a little bit about that. What are some of the obstacles that you encounter and how did you overcome them?
You know what? Like how much time do we have? Because like seriously, like that could be a few series, but I'll try to be brief. So I started university at I'm based in Montreal, Canada. So I went to Concordia University, and my first year in university was an absolute disaster. I was not ready for the level of studying that it required. It was the first time in my life that I tried working a part-time job and going to school. I was in the choir at church. I was doing a bunch of other things outside of studying, plus a full course load. So all that to say that like I had terrible results my first year. Like off the top of my head, after 1 year, I had a GPA of 1.3. So like extremely low. So um, after that, like I wasn't even put on probation. I was like they literally sent me a letter saying that your GPA is too low to like stay in the program. So like you have to you're out of the program and you can reapply if you have like some sort of justification. So I was freaking out. My family, like your studies is something that's very important. Come from two Haitian parents, and in immigrant families, like studying is it takes most of your life, right? So
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? And when I had applied to university, I had applied to Concordia and to another university, University of Montreal.
Mhm.
So I decided to go to University of Montreal to see if my application was still valid. But after 1 year, it's like I had to reapply if I wanted to get into the program. But they asked for my Concordia grades, of course. And so when I applied, like the first semester, I enrolled as an independent student, applied and didn't get in because of my Concordia results. But I got in the minors in math. So I could still take the same classes I would have taken anyway as in the actuarial bachelor. So I got into the minors in math, got my grades up, reapplied for a third time, and then got back in at University of Montreal. So just my university journey was something in itself. Finally graduated after 3.5 years. And then after that, finding my first actuarial job. I don't know if there's anybody on the line that's just graduated or that's almost graduating. I find that finding your first job can be very tough. It's pretty competitive, especially if A, you don't have any internships, or B, you haven't written a lot of actuarial exams. Um, or C, you don't have high grades, like which was my case, right? So when I graduated, I had written exam P and FM. I was really happy to have those two exams, but whenever I got an interview, I didn't get the job. And so I started my career in a non-traditional actuarial role, and my strategy was to write as many exams as I can, get a lot of experience, and then maybe apply for an actuarial role later. Did that, and after 5.5 years in group underwriting, which was considered a non-traditional role, I decided, okay, let me try to find an actuarial role. it was still difficult. I managed to get into actuarial consulting in group benefits, and and that wasn't part of my LinkedIn story, but I'm gonna share that one as well. My first actuarial role, I was let go because I wasn't performing well, right? So that too was another hurdle that I had to uh, get over. Started working in different other roles in the industry, not in traditional actuarial roles though. So I worked in group benefits as an advisor. I learned a lot about like facing clients, and I did a bunch of other stuff that I normally wouldn't have done in a traditional actuarial role. And it took me another 5 years to really apply for another actuarial role that was like what I wanted to do. And it was actually at Desjardins, where I currently work now, in 2019, that I went back into a traditional actuarial role. Decided to get back into writing exams like when I had put them aside for like a good 5 years. And already at that point, I was married. I had one daughter, uh, and then the other one was on the way. So getting back into studying, writing exams with two kids, that was tough. My second daughter was born January 2020, so right before the pandemic. And
Oh
so
boy.
like you can just imagine like writing FSA exams, two young kids, like a baby, one that's 2.5 years old. You're stuck at home, like teleworking. Daycares are closed. Anyway, it was quite the journey. Um, and so my FSA exams, just trying them one after another until I finally managed to pass one. Like the first exam I tried once in 2014, and then that's when I put them aside, did all of that stuff. Tried it again in 2019, didn't pass it. Tried it again in 2020, finally passed my first FSA exam. And then the other two FSA exams, like it took me, it's so the first FSA exam's 3 tries, the second FSA exam 4 tries, the third FSA exam 2 tries. So a lot of just trying over and over and over until I finally passed an exam, and then finally able to get my FSA. And then and all of that, I'm sure people will relate to that. But there's the SOA likes to like change this, not only the syllabus but like the exams themselves. And so like there was a lot of transition rules. Like in the end, like after I finished all of my FSA exam, I had to go back to the prelims to write exam PA, which I didn't have to do when I to get my ASA. But because I didn't get my FSA in time, I still had to do it to get my FSA. So um, it's just a long, arduous journey of just like trying and trying and trying until I finally got to the finish line.
Did you have any techniques, any way that you know, once you received the result that you had now passed an exam, how did you, what was your process? Did you
Right.
take a couple of days to process it and then got back to studying a different way, or just shift
Very good
anything?
question. That's such a good question. I think it was it depended on the exam and on where I was in my life. So when I was writing the prelims, that was a number of years ago. So like it's not going to be as applicable for people here, but the idea is still the same. That for the prelims, in my opinion, just try to do as many practice problems as you can. And um, when I would file an exam, for sure it was hard. It was tough. So you get that moment where like you go through your, you feel sorry for yourself. It hurts. You question, can I really do this or whatever? But whenever I actually passed the exam, it was always because you know what? Like when you study an exam the second time, a lot of times we get the feeling that, oh, you know what? I did everything I could have done. There's nothing that I can do. But it's our brain is very good at lying to us, and we get these false beliefs that like there's nothing else that you can do. But trust me when I say that when you study an exam the second, third time, you're not starting from scratch, and you're actually going to get further than you were the first time around. Like um, the last prelim I passed, it was exam C. It's not, I think the equivalent now is FAM S. Anyway, um, that was a pretty tough exam, and like it took me 2 times to pass it. And the first time around, I got a 5. And when I studied it again the second time around, like before I even went to the exam, I already knew like, oh, I'm so much more prepared than last time. Like just going over the material again, like your brain assimilates differently. There's you go deeper, like you just know more. You know the material like off the top of your head, like you just control it better. For the FSA exams, I would say when I started them, like my strategy was to get as much resources as I get, talk to people, go online, really read on, okay, how do I tackle these exams? Because they seem so daunting, and everybody talks about how, oh, the FSA exams are impossible to pass. They're really, really tough. Um, and the um, for me, obviously, like having a wife, two daughters, I couldn't necessarily put as many hours as the next person. So I wanted to be strategic in how I studied. Um, Really giving myself more time was number one, I would say. Uh, Second of all, just being able to like accept what happened. It's so easy to say, but like accept that you failed and then go back. Like the shorter the amount of time that you can accept and go back and just get back into the groove, the better chances are of you being successful the next time. Because if you carry that grief for a long, long time and you're still second guessing yourself the second time around, then you're just hurting yourself for the eventual next time that the exam will be given again. Um, my last exam, like I went deep. I did personal development. Like I had a journal. I was journaling like what it meant to me, why I wanted to pass that exam, why I wanted to get my FSA. I did some visualization techniques. My wife is a life coach, so uh, personal development is something that I've always wanted, and she's helped me a lot with that. Um, there was a book that I read. There was two actuaries that had written a book, uh, study exam tactics. I think it was one of the authors was I think he was the youngest person to get his FSA. He got his FSA at 20. Roy Ju. So Roy Ju and I forget the other author's name. They wrote a book together about study exam tactics, and really, the book talks about just how you want to tackle your studying it, and it's and they say themselves it's not a silver bullet. Like reading this book is not going to automatically make you pass all of your exams, but it got me to rethink, okay, how do I tackle those exams? Like focus on the concepts, focus on understanding, not just on like trying to learn a bunch of random things. And yeah, I do think that sometimes there's maybe like a 5% component that's a bit of luck when you hit the FSA exams, because obviously the syllabus is so big, they can't test on everything. And sometimes you might hit a topic where you're like, oh, yes, I was hoping to get that question. So, uh, but don't put all of your hopes in that, because like there's so much stuff that like you can't just hope and pray that only the stuff that you're good on will be tested, right? Oh, that's the one. Thank you, Marta. So yeah, I definitely recommend that book for people that are wherever you are in your actuarial journey. It's a great book. Um, I would I like playing video games as much as the next guy. I would uninstall my favorite video game from my computer. So this
Wow.
game that I used to play a lot called StarCraft or StarCraft 2, I knew that I would get in trouble if it was still installed on my computer. So I had to uninstall the game whenever I was preparing for an exam. Um, and after I was finished writing, then I would go through the whole process of reinstalling the game and whatever. But like sometimes you have to know yourself and know what are some of the things that are preventing you from putting in the work. I remember like talking to one actuary, and I back then I really didn't like his suggestion, but it was what I needed to hear. Because like everybody's trying to find like that one silver bullet, like the one thing that, oh, if you do this, you will pass. And I remember him telling me, like, you know what, Teddy, like, I feel that I have average intelligence compared to like the other actuaries. So I just want to outwork them. So I just studied more than everybody else. And it's tough to hear because you're like, oh well, I don't have all of these hours. I can't put in all of that time, and came up with all of sorts of excuses in my head. But at the end of the day, like one of the reasons that it took me so many tries to pass each exam was that I wasn't putting as many hours as the next guy, right? And so maybe that's why I needed to study 2, 3 times one exams when somebody else maybe they could have passed it in one try or 2 tries. Um, but yeah, like definitely knowing that like even if you have to redo an exam, that's okay, that's normal. Most actuaries fail at least one exams if it's not multiple. And if you, as long as it still makes sense for you to continue, for you, keep going and you will get there.
That's great advice. And you are absolutely right. I have met very, very few actuaries, FSAs or ASAs who passed all the exams on the first
On
try.
the first try, yeah, no, there's
I
a couple out there. Those
Yeah,
rare,
there are a
yeah.
couple. Our Amanda Hogg, the SOR president, was one of them. But
Hmm.
most, and at the end of the day, when you have your FSA, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I was talking to, so I met a mentor not too long ago, and he was telling me, you know what? At the end of the day, Teddy, you qualified now, and that's
Exactly.
all that matters. Like I don't sign FSA, but it took me 9 times to pass the FSA exams. I signed FSA,
Exactly.
period. Right?
Exactly. It's like walking. It doesn't matter if you
Yeah,
start walking at 10 months or a year or 16
yeah.
months. When you're an adult, you don't go back
Exactly.
and talk
That's so
about it.
funny. It's so funny
So
because young parents do that a lot. Like, oh, when is my baby gonna walk? But when they're 15, it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Uh, we have a couple of questions. I think you've covered a little bit of that, but I want to make sure that we give the people that have taken the time to
Sure.
enter questions the an answer. So Michaela Shaw says, what mindset shift did you have to make when you realized your actuarial path wasn't traditional? Like when you got kicked out of the program?
Yeah. Oh my God. Such a good question, Michaela. Um, I can't say that like sometimes you listen to like podcasts and whatever, or you read a book. It's like, oh, this happened, and then like I woke up and everything was great from that point on. That's not real life. I think. Um, I was how old was I when that happened? I must have been like 20, 21, 22, around that age. And so it was a blow. It was just a blow to my ego. It was a blow to my confidence. Like, just am I going to be able to do this? Right. Really, what kept me going was that like I didn't see any other alternative. And so luckily for me, I wasn't really interested in other careers. And so to me, it was just like, okay, that didn't work. What do I have to do in order to make it work somewhere else, right? What are my solutions, right? And so not going to university or not getting a bachelor's degree was not even like it never even crossed my mind. Um, I'm privileged that I come from a family of high achievers. My dad was a doctor, my brother's an engineer, my younger sister is a lawyer, and so for me, university was like it was just part of my identity. I knew I was going to go to university and graduate, um, and so it was to me it was just like a bump in the road. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I figured, okay, well that didn't work. Um, what now? And so that what now maybe lasted a couple of days where I was like, okay, like I don't know. But then eventually I was like, you know what? I applied at two universities. Let me see if the other one will take me, right? Which they didn't at first, but like eventually they did. So I would say really getting clear about what you want in life can definitely help you to along your path when you're facing adversity or facing difficulties.
A couple of people are asking about they are like you, parents, and they have
Yeah,
to juggle their study schedule with their family and the fun times that, everybody
right.
wants to have. How do you have any quick tips of what worked for you, or how did
Yeah.
you?
I'm gonna start off by saying I don't know who needs to hear this, but maybe it'll help somebody. Um, Having gone through it and being here, like the FSA is great. Don't get me wrong. I am so grateful, thankful to God, and very proud of what I accomplished. But your family needs to be your number one priority, or like just like for sure there's going to be times where you focus maybe a bit less on your family, but just keep things in perspective. So small story real quick, like when I was writing my second FSA exam, I think I had a distant cousin in New York that I wasn't very close with, but went through an unfortunate accident and they passed away. And I was a couple of weeks away from the exam, and a lot of people that are really intense into their actual journey, they're like, okay, you know what? Just cut everybody off. Just focus on your exams. And our part of me wanted to be like, oh, you know what? I can't make it to that funeral. I need to like study. I need to use all the time that I need to have to study for my exam. And my wife kind of talked me out of that. She's like, Teddy, like your cousin passed away. Like you can't do that. And truth be told, I'm not even sure if I passed the exam that time. I don't remember. But it's important to keep things in perspective. Now, that being said, what are some tactics? You need to know how you work best. I'm not a, I wasn't, I'm not a morning person, so waking up before my kids to study didn't work for me. But like, I was able to like maybe take an hour, maybe study on my lunch break, take an hour off of work and then work later. And then when my kids went to bed, that's when I could study. Having a partner that supports you and that wants to see you succeed is definitely key. And so if you are in a relationship where you find that like studying is a strain, then I definitely, my heart goes out to you. That's tough because and you that's maybe something that you'll need to like have to talk to your partner about, that it's something that's important to you. It could help the family if you succeed, um, and maybe consider couples therapy. My wife and I have gone to couples therapy, but and I think that everybody should. I'm really a proponent of therapy. Um, so yeah, I would say try to really know yourself, know when's the best time for you to study. But and when you do know that it's time to study, then like get as much out of that study session as you can. So like my phone was not even like close to me. It was like in another room, off. I installed my favorite video game. I would put myself in a quiet environment or listen to like classical music while I was studying. You don't have as much time as the next person that's like living with their parents and doesn't have children or whatever. So you have to use whatever resource that you have and make the most out of it. And maybe that's not going to be enough to pass the exam on the very first try. Then you try again, and then you might be successful the next time.
We have a lot of questions, but we are out of time, so I am very sorry. I put my email on the chat.
Can
But
I? I'm afraid, but maybe I can share my email as well. Here, you know what? If I get too many requests, then it's my fault. So I just put my personal email in the chat.
we
Also,
appreciate that.
if you guys didn't find me on LinkedIn, hold on. Let me just put a link to my profile. Like, reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I try to answer to as many people as I can. If people want to just talk about like how they feel, like when it's not as busy at work, I take the time to like schedule video calls with people that wanted. So like, reach out, guys. I'd love to continue the conversation. And this went way too fast, Marta. We need to do this again.
I know we need to do it again or longer. So we are over time, but I want to to wrap up. Is there one key takeaway that you would like to give to the people that came today to our lunch and learn?
Okay. One is difficult, but I would say, like what I was trying to get to when we were talking about the families, people having wives and kids or husband or partner, is I got my FSA in March. It was a wonderful feeling. I was ecstatic, and we're in June, 3 months later, and already like those feelings have like subsided. So just to tell you that like it's amazing, it's great for your career, it's awesome, but it's not going to change who you are. It's not going to make you a better person. Remember that the FSA is just a credential, nothing more. It's not going to make you more complete. You are already a wonderful and perfect person just the way you are. That being said, if you're wherever you are in your actuarial journey, there's going to be hurdles, and each journey is different. And so for me, what kept me going was reevaluating. Okay, does it still make sense for me at this point in my life with what's going on to continue? And because the answer was still yes, I kept going. But if at any point in my life, uh, like not just right after you fill an exam, but like after taking the time to really think about it, it didn't make sense for me anymore. It would have been okay for me to just be like, you know what, let me close that chapter and go do something else. And I've met a lot of people that have done that and that are really, really happy. So just make sure that wherever you are in your journey, it still makes sense to you, that you're not just doing it just to like feel better about yourself, because the FSA is not a tool for you to be a better person. It's just a credential for your career.
Very good. Well, with that, we are definitely over time, but thank you
Yeah.
so much. This was absolutely wonderful. And
Thank you,
there will be
Marissa.
a recording probably next week on our affiliate membership web YouTube channel. So please tune in, and if you want to watch it again. And I have included my name, my email, and the book, and a link to Amazon, or you can find it whatever you want, that Teddy mentioned. And I've also his email and his LinkedIn are also on the chat. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk again soon, I hope.
For sure. Thank you so much, Marta. This was really amazing. I really appreciate this.
Thank
Thanks
you.
to everyone that came as well.
Yes, thank you everybody that took the time to join us today. Bye.
All right. Bye.